Welcome back to a very special Indianomics, which is about the new man in Mint Street, the new RBI governor, and the tasks that he faces. I've been speaking with Mr. G Mahalingam, former ED at RBI and former whole-time member at SEBI, Dinesh Khara, former SBI Chairman, Neeraj Gambhir, the Group Executive and Head of Treasury at Axis Bank, and Sakshi Gupta, the Senior Economist from HDFC Bank. Gentlemen and Sakshi, thank you very much indeed for your patience. Neeraj, like I said before the break, we could be on the threshold of global turbulence. Will that be his big test? Like we saw, Dr. Subbarao face almost in a matter of 10 days. That was, of course, layman and it was too big. But is he likely to face turbulence in a month?
So two comments, Latha. First of all, I think when you think about the rate cuts, while the growth narrative would warrant a rate cut, we have an inflation narrative and we have a currency narrative. And we know that Reserve Bank has been actually managing the currency quite proactively over the last almost a year. And there has been, a lot of pressure on the currency given the fact that global equity and debt flows have not been supportive. We've actually seen outflows on the equities market and we saw outflow from the debt market in the month of November. December has been much better. I think Reserve Bank will have to very carefully think about how they want to manage currency in this environment. To me, the world is looking a far more politically unstable place at this point in time than it looked, say, about 12 months ago.
Mahalingam, you are the past master in terms of RBI handling currency. You think it's not a big problem? The Reserve Bank has done much more difficult tasks, starting from 91, again 2008, taper tantrum. This is an easy game for the Reserve Bank bureaucracy, the currency turmoil.
Yeah, Latha, I completely agree. Actually, in comparison to what happened in the past, I think Reserve Bank is facing a relatively easy situation right now. The only thing I would advise is on the liquidity front, perhaps the governor has to adopt a very carefully chalked out path. I don't think they can allow the liquidity to tighten, because if the liquidity also tightens in a big way, albeit for just about 2 months, 3 months, it could actually cut off the credit growth line. So there is a need for RBI to be pretty vigilant on the liquidity side. And the liquidity side, if the tightness is going to come through the foreign exchange, I think they better watch out on the foreign exchange side. Now, coming to the foreign exchange, if the rupee is appearing to be overvalued by about 6 to 7%, that's what the real effective exchange rate says, I have a feeling that Reserve Bank still has some room as far as allowing some more depreciation is concerned. I don't think they need to go and sell out the dollars in big lots, which will suck out a huge amount of rupee liquidity from the system. So from that perspective, I would say that a little bit of more depreciation on the rupee side by, say, about a couple of percentage points should not really alter the scenario of liquidity in a big way. That should definitely ease on the situational liquidity. And let's assume the rupee goes on a trajectory which is absolutely downward and the RBI has to sell a lot more dollars. I think what they have to do is they have to do countervailing open market operations to restore the liquidity back to its original state. In my view, at no cost, at this very critical juncture in front of the country's economy, with the governor actually having growth precedence over inflation, liquidity cannot be allowed to be operating on tight ends at all. Even at the quarter ends, when the advance tax money is going to go away, I think it's better for Reserve Bank to be pretty proactive on the liquidity front.
Okay. Well, he evaded my bond purchases question, but I'm sure that is a weapon on the table. And now we know from hindsight why he evaded. He wanted perhaps the new man to take that call. Mr. Khara, the other point that will come, and I'm unfortunately out of time to discuss this at length, the big contention between centre and banks is the new SNA Sparsh, internet loop, or portal. This is something which, of course, we viewers wouldn't know much. The central government now funds central schemes not through the banks. I mean, if they're transferring money from centre to states for centrally sponsored schemes, they don't just put it in the bank of the states. They put it in a portal. And as the money gets spent, it goes out. Now, this has led to a good 3 lakh crores of whatever centrally sponsored schemes not flowing through the banking system for a period of time. It ultimately flows. But till it is spent, it doesn't flow. Mr. Khara, do you think this pull and push will be answered by the new man in Mint Street?
I think we'll have to wait and watch, perhaps. And well, of course, I would only like to add what you have just mentioned, that when the 4 trillion worth of money, which used to be available to the scheduled commercial banks, they used to actually generate credit on that. So what you mentioned, that eventually it comes back, but when it comes to a multiplier effect, it gets diminished to some extent. So I think this is also one of the reasons why perhaps we have seen some kind of a stress in terms of the credit growth in the system. I believe that there would be some pragmatic view taken on this particular aspect also, because eventually speaking, the money is being maintained, the accounts downstream are being maintained by the commercial with the commercial banks, but it takes some kind of a lag. So I think if at all the money gets flown through the banking system, perhaps the credit growth can be inched up with the help of this kind of a money which will flow through the banking system as compared to when it goes through the RBI channel.
Mr. Mahalingam, I have at least like 3 questions more for you. I'll try to put them all into one. One, is Patra's absence very big? I was told that there is an old boys club in RBI. Malhotra can always phone Patra. They would become good friends in a month if they aren't already. And he would, I know the governors talk to the previous governors a lot. I know Mr. Das used to call Rangarajan and Reddy pretty frequently. So is Patra's absence, something that can be papered over? And the second more important question, he's a younger man compared to the previous secretaries who came. Malhotra is only 56 and a computer science graduate. So do you think we are going to see a lot of improvement on the use of AI, ML? So 2 separate questions.
Yeah, on the first question regarding Patra, yes, the monetary policy DG occupies a very, very important position in the overall scheme of things as far as RBI is concerned. Of course, aside, I wanted to mention a point when the governor is going to do the convincing job to RBI, to the internal bureaucracy. He remembers that the last MPC voted 4-2. So he just needs to have one more. That means to make it 4-2 in the other side. Yeah. So it's not going to be a big problem for him. But looking at Patra, certainly he occupies a very important position. Certainly, replacing the monetary policy deputy governor exactly at the time when the new governor has taken charge is going to cause some amount of discomfort for the new governor. But I would say, again, I'll come back to the internal bureaucracy. The internal bureaucracy is pretty strong in RBI. There is a bureaucracy which stretches down from executive director to the chief general manager, to the general manager, to the deputy general manager, who are all involved completely in monetary policy making. And similarly, in the Forex side, you have the entire hierarchy which is involved in the specialized job of Forex intervention and Forex reserves management. So to that extent, a top man going missing is certainly going to cause some discomfort, but then the person who is going to be substituted immediately by another professional, that professional will get inducted into the RBI scheme of things in no time at all. Okay. So the governor should not really feel the absence. That way RBI has an excellent succession planning mechanism and the internal bureaucracy takes care of it. Regarding the second question, I completely agree with you, Latha. I think Sanjay Malhotra comes from IIT Kanpur with a computer science background. I'm happy to say I am also from IIT Kanpur, in fact. Okay. And a person with a tremendous amount of sense of computers, use of computers, artificial intelligence. I hope it is going to be very good for RBI and the financial sector as a whole, that perhaps artificial intelligence and other technology-related aspects are going to get a lot more priority. I'm not saying that Shaktikant Das did not give priority, but Sanjay Malhotra will be hands-on when it comes to giving priority to technology.
Okay, who knows? That may have been the single factor why Sanjay Malhotra was preferred as the man to head RBI. It's quite possible because the Prime Minister is very proactive in thinking about putting India into the digital map, and that may have been the convincing reason. In all, putting all these factors into consideration, it looks like we have a very good person at the top, and we have him coming at a clement time and will be able to tackle the problems that are thrown at him given the bureaucracy at RBI. Thank you very much, Mr. Mahalingam, Mr. Khara, Neeraj and Sakshi.